So, good morning, formally, and good to see you all this morning. So, it's 10 o'clock, so we'll get started. Now, if anybody joins, I will let them in. And today we're going to focus on the second part. So the notes is one part, and then the second part is the project. And it's a great pleasure to introduce you to Paul Nolan. Paul has been working on this module. Are we prepared to put a number on it, Paul?
Probably
head for 20 years.
Yeah, 15 to 20, I was going to say.
Yeah, I think so. I think we started the diploma back in 2003.
Well, that'll be 20 years.
It might have been the following year that we moved on to the advanced diploma at that stage. So yeah, heading for 20 years now. So yeah, I hope he's getting the hang of it now at this stage, you know. So what Paul's role is, I suppose, is to act as your tutor for this subject. Certainly it's a daunting prospect having to sort of put together a mini thesis, as we call it. So we can call it a project, we can call it an assignment, we can call it a mini thesis, you can call it whatever you want. But really it's about creating a body of work that's of benefit to you and to your employer. And I suppose it's also going to give you a level of critical thinking and analysis to be able to sort of gather the information and present it in a proper format. And Paul's going to be with you every step of the way to help you to agree, first of all, in terms of what you're going to be working on, and then sort of the methodology and how you work through it. So that's what it's all about. So what I'll do now, Paul, I just hand straight over to you. I think there's one other person who's just about to join us now. So we'll just give him a minute to, it says it's, oh no, I didn't. No, sorry, there he is now. So we'll just give Eric a minute to join us. And that's that. So we'll hand over to you and you can enlighten them in terms of what is needed. And guys, there's no time. I know I said about an hour. You know, don't feel under pressure, Paul, to stay talking for an hour. If we're done in 40 minutes, so be it. And if we're not, then we're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So I just have one question now before we go, because somebody has just joined the meeting as user. So, and they're on mute as well. So who is user?
Yes, I can't hear.
Who's that?
Hi, it's me, Eric.
No, Eric, we see you all right.
Okay, cool, wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good morning, guys.
Yeah, no, good to see you. And we see Jennifer, Luke, Neve, Hayden, Nabilia, Carol.
I can't.
Who's that who's talking now? No, you're on mute now. You can only see the top of your head, and you're coming in as user.
You've got 10 participants, Declan.
Yeah.
According to the...
I can't hear.
Who's that? No. Gone off for
Ask for Kit.
I'll tell you, I will just mute them there, I think, just in case they're talking. If there's any secrets. Oh no, there's somebody. No, I don't know what's going on. Mute. Ask to unmute. I don't know. Okay, guys, over to you, Paul. Let's go.
Okay, thanks, Declan. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for taking the time out to come and spend an hour or so.
Just man, I can hear nothing.
Sound.
Can you hear me there?
Sound is...
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, I think whoever's trying to join us here doesn't know we can hear and see them.
Okay.
And this is probably a lesson for being online, that you don't know what you're sharing, or what you see what you see, but you can't see what other people see. So that is that. So any joy there? No.
Okay. I'll continue on anyway. Hopefully you can all hear me. Yeah. Paul Nolan is my name. Declan said I've been tutoring this particular subject for approximately 20 years. I always call it's just a different way of learning. And I think if you keep that in mind, it'll make the process much easier to understand. So my background is I've got a degree in credit management. We're kind of like teeth hands teeth in regard to a couple of years ago we ran a degree course in Dublin. What was it, DCU? Well, there are very few of us still around that actually have done that degree course. I've also done the advanced diploma course and the course of diploma course prior to that. My background is I run a company called AR Solutions. We're a debt collection agency. I set that up myself around 2007, and I'm still kind of, even though I'm 30 odd years in the business, I'm still learning myself as we go along. Sometimes the debtors never cease to amaze me with their excuses and whatever. And I thought at this stage of my career that I'd be able to suss out the genuine people from the chancers, but I was recently myself kind of reminded that that's not so. It's a continuous learning, and yeah, it's hopefully you'll get something from this particular module of the course. It's a great confidence booster, I think, when you find this thing is going to run for 2 months. So what I want you to do is by next Friday, which is the 20th, to send me in your proposed topic for your project. Now, I don't want anyone to start the project until I give an approval. And there's good reason for that. Sometimes people come up with ideas and they want to change the world. The whole thing about this project is that it's focus based. So you take one particular problem or situation in the workplace, particularly in the credit function, and our job is to try and solve that problem. It's probably something that's there already in your workplace that you've been kind of at the back of your mind saying, God, every month we have problems with a particular issue, maybe not reaching our cash targets, stuff like that. We need to up our game in terms of our processes. So what this will do is give you an opportunity to look at your processes, to examine in your own time what can be done to resolve the situation or to bring some other innovative solution to the business that will help the credit function. The whole idea about the credit function and the whole idea about your job, you're now moving from employee to manager. It's important to remember that. So there are different kind of qualities that are expected from you as a manager. And this project will enable you, help you along that road. So what I'm doing is I'm going to work from this particular worksheet. I don't know if you're on the screen all the time there, Declan. I don't know whether I should be on the screen or whatever. But anyway, can you all see that document?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Declan, can you put me on full screen, no?
We can see you on full screen, I think, Paul.
Can you? Okay, I can't. Okay, well, that's fine. You can see me. So I'm going to work from this document, okay? And that will tell us how this project should be undertaken, the structure of the project. There's all sorts of information there, the different sections of the project, when the project should be submitted. The submission date on it is the 21st of December. So it's 2 months, roughly 2.5 months, to get this thing done and dusted. I'd urge everyone to have it done by that time. You don't want to be sitting down over Christmas trying to finish off your project, because it affects the quality of the project. It also leaves you to a situation where and there's a panic setting in. I've had this in the past. So I urge everyone just to keep with me. I'll be sending you regular notes and asking you for updates. And there are sections and marks there in the project itself for effort and achieving deadlines. So part of that deadlines is not just the submission date, but also having the project updates sent to me on a regular basis. When I ask for them, I expect people to come back and tell me exactly where they are in the project. And it's not that I'm trying to force anyone or trying to put anyone under pressure. It's just it's to keep the momentum going. It's a kind of a subject that if you could keep the momentum going on it, it helps, and it also helps keeps the pressure off of it. So what we've got, I'm just reading from this particular handout that you have there. So it says this stage of the diploma is an opportunity to put all your learning into practice, and this is an assignment-based project. You're required to demonstrate how you have applied the knowledge gained on the course to your own work situation. You will present a 6,000-word dissertation on an approved topic and with the guidance and support of our qualified tutors. That's myself. The project is researched and presented as a bound document in line with the criteria set out below. So the bound document, I have one here somewhere, will be, can you all see that there? So it's just a bound document, plastic cover, and again, you will see some of this in the presentation notes that I will send you, but people often ask, can we see a copy of a completed work? So that's a copy of completed work there, as you can see it. So now, yeah, as I say, you're moving from employee to manager. So what we're trying to do here is to teach people how to do research and reach independent conclusions. And that's what it's all about, really. And the way we achieve that, and I'll go through that shortly. And it's, again, to learn how the credit department can affect profitability of the business. There's an acronym called FABLE, which I don't know if you covered it in your credit management module. No. Okay, so I'll send you a note of that. FABLE is basically the cost of credit. It's FABLE is finance, administration, all those kind of costs that are associated with the credit department. So there is a cost associated with credit, and it's how to manage that cost. And again, one of the most important things about this project is it's to raise your profile and the profile of your department. So during the course of the project, you'll be looking to people, asking managers maybe for some information that normally you wouldn't have access to. You may be given some time off. You may have to interview maybe one of your managers or maybe the director of the company or someone else associated with the business. And again, it's raising your profile, your own personal profile, and that of the position of the credit manager. So the purpose of the project provides an opportunity to consolidate the knowledge and skills covered all the previous modules contained in the Diploma of Advanced Scrum, and to develop higher technical skills appropriate for managers in the credit profession. So you have to identify an area that needs investigation, and it's usually job related, and there are reasons for that, and I'll cover that now in a second. So what you do is you identify a problem or an area. Maybe it could be something that a software you might bring to the company that other competitors have that you don't have, that might improve your credit department, or it might be, as it is most times, a problem, a situation that needs some sort of a resolution that maybe you haven't had the time or the opportunity to look at it in detail because you're so busy in the day-to-day stuff. So this now gives you an opportunity to have a look at that. And again, there could be spin-offs that at the end of the day in terms of, you know, if you resolve a situation that's obviously costing the company money, well, there's going to be a positive, hopefully, kickback from that in terms of maybe a promotion or maybe extra money or maybe just, you know, recognition from management. So again, that's all raising your profile. And and the presentation, how to present this is a professional body of work. So there are ways of actually in your presentation, in the main body of the thing, how it flows, how the project flows, the language that you use. And again, there's a section on that there. It's professional language, basically what we're saying. There's no, they call it colloquialism, so there's no kind of slang, there's no, that's all covered in that handout. There's a page there on writing skills and writing style. The subject matter. So this has to sustain your interest for 2.5 months. So it's usually something that's work related, that's going to keep you occupied, that's going to keep you interested. So you're going to be spending a couple of hours. This is going to take over your life basically for the next 2.5 months until you get this project done and dusted out of the way. So there is a lot of job recognition, and again, as I mentioned before, there's probably possible access to information that you would normally get, and that's a good thing. Where you want to be, I always think, as credit managers, where we want to get, you want to get to the top table where all the decisions are made. I know in my own career, when I got my well, I got a degree in credit management, and hopefully this is just a step forward for you guys in terms of your further education. I always say that education, it's a key to unlocks a lot of opportunities, both in your personal life and particularly in your career. So hopefully this is just one step further, and there will be other stages after you finish your advanced diploma in credit management. I would urge you to, if you might not stay in the credit management, or other areas like risk management, stuff like that, that you know, it's kind of a natural progression from credit management. Some people stay in credit management all their lives. Some people move on. It's kind of it's on a career path. So always remember education, in particular further education. And you guys, most of you are, you know, you're doing this kind of at night in your own spare time. So you know, that's I take my hat off to you guys. You know, I've been there, done all that. It's not easy, but you will get there, and you will reap the rewards at the end of the day. So just going back to point number 3 here, do not keep the subject matter too broad. Look at a particular problem area in your work that needs improvement, or an innovative measure procedure that you could introduce that would save money. Sometimes what happens with the project is supposed to be focused, so it's kind of narrow based. You pick one particular problem and you stick with that, and you find out how maybe we can resolve that situation. Sometimes people they say, oh, we've got so many issues in the credit department that are preventing us from doing our job properly, and training is one. There might be something, or software is not up to date, and there are too many queries. There could be a whole ream of problems there that are causing you untold stress or whatever each month. So the project is narrow focused. So you got to pick just one of those problems. If you try and pick them all and try and solve them all, you're diluting your project. So your project will suffer as a result. So keep it focused, keep it narrow based, pick one particular issue. And if you don't know what particular issue, whatever, maybe something doesn't jump out straight away, there's what we call a SWOT analysis. A SWOT analysis, I don't know if anyone has ever done a SWOT analysis before, and I've sent you, there's SWOT analysis of, there's some information on it there anyway. So basically what it is, it's just strengths, SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So if you sit down and just do a matrix, like write down what your strengths are as a company, as a department, what your weaknesses are, what opportunities you might have. Strengths and weaknesses are normally internal. So the opportunities and threats are external. So if you write down just a couple of those bullet points, sometimes that will lead you to, they're called kind of trigger questions. It might help you identify an area that will do for your project. So I would urge if you haven't already done a SWOT analysis, do a SWOT analysis. Or there's another thing they call a drill down method. So it's when you want to get to the nub of the problem. So you put down what the main problem is. The main problem is we're not reaching our targets every month. So you drill down from that. What are the issues involved? And you keep drilling down until you find, okay, I think I know now exactly what the issue is. It's just a way again of focusing your mind into what the actual problem is if you can't identify it straight away. So just moving on this. So there may be several issues. Pick one, use a drill down method or use a SWOT analysis. There's a handout on that. It's quite easy to use. And it's a very old procedure that's been used in businesses. Now we're using it here as in a very light level. It goes on. It can be quite kind of an in-depth analysis of a company, but we just stick with it's just use it as a trigger question, really, as such. Your draft title. So your draft title, I've sent you a sheet. I think it's page 3. So it has a brief on it. I don't have all that. There's 2 pages to that. So again, this is to help you identify your area for investigation. There are some questions there that you're asked. If you read those questions, answer them there on the sheet of paper and send it back to me by next Friday, which is the 20th. If you need more time, let me know. But I want us to get stuck. We've only got 2 months on this project, and I want us to kind of move along quite quickly on it, if you like, and keep the momentum going. So if you could send that for me, this is where you get your first marks in terms of effort and achieving deadlines. That's your first deadline. It's next Friday. It's to complete that particular section there and send it to me. I'll have a look at that. If I think it's okay, I'll let you know straight away. If I think maybe you're taking on too much work, I'll ask you maybe to have a look at it again. We can have a chat about it. But if you can send it in to me anyway, that'll be a start. So if you can send them into about next Friday, I'll come back to you at the latest, the middle of the following week, which I'm not sure what date it is, probably around the 24th or so. So that'll be the start of the project then. The draft title. Yeah, so just moving on. Oh yeah. As I mentioned previously, it may be something that's work related. Hopefully it will be. And for that reason, I think everyone should consider involving your boss or your colleagues. It shows you're career minded. It may allow you time off to do research, etc. And again, it enhances your role and that of yourself, your position in the company. And it may lead to a positive spin-off at the end of the day. If you can resolve a situation or a problem that's been bothering the company, and if it improves cash flow, stuff like that, or it improves your bad debt situation, I mean, that's not going to go unnoticed, obviously. So there could be a positive spin-off beyond that. There are three reasons why people excel at work. Number one is they're interested in their job and their organization. I think we can all identify with that. You know, if you're in a job, you like the job, you're interested in the job, it shows, and you know, people will notice that, and particularly people in position of power will notice that. The second thing is people that are always looking to improve. So it's not just ambitious, but it's for the sake of being ambitious. It's looking to improve things within the workplace, improve things within terms of your job, your processes, stuff like that. And the third thing then is people who are well trained. Usually they're the 3 qualities that people usually excel in their work. Moving on to point 6 there, the project. And this is where we get into the real kind of meaty part of the project. Every project should have these particular sections. There are 5 sections there. You've got rationale, you've got investigation stage 1, you've got investigation stage 2, you've got conclusion and analysis, and you've got evaluation. So your project must contain a section on each of those. And there's marks, and you'll see them on the next page for those particular sections. There are also additional marks for other areas that are not on paper, and I'll come to them shortly. But getting into the project itself, you can have, if you like, at the start, it's not on that particular handout there, but what sometimes I like to see is an introduction to your company. And by the way, if your company has a policy, maybe in terms of they might not want you to divulge any information, there might be some sort of confidentiality clause there, that's fine. So you can leave out the name of the company. If you want to bring it in, that's fine, again. But if you could, in any event, at the start, because it sets the scene for me in terms of at least I get a feel for the organization that you're working for, what they're about. So if you do a brief introduction, what you're doing, maybe an organizational chart of your own department or of the actual company in itself, from the CEO down, something like that. Kind of, it's a nice way to start the project, a nice kind of easy kind of way into it. And you may also, another section that I haven't got down there is acknowledgements. And a lot of people like to credit those that have helped them, maybe colleagues, maybe a boss, maybe your boss is giving you an interview, or maybe your colleagues are giving you a bit of support. So you'd have a section for acknowledgement. Maybe your partner, who is probably giving you a bit of free time to do your projects, and maybe is, I don't know, looked after the kids or babysitting duties while you've been doing your project. People that have helped you along the way. It's nice sometimes because this is a professional body of work. It's there, and people will read it at some stage. And, you know, it's nice for people to see their names being included there under a section of acknowledgements. And again, it fills, you have 6,000 words here to complete for this project. So it fills a lot of spaces for you in terms of word count. Your rationale, so getting into the proper parts of it, and I'm going to go through, we've got half an hour left, so I want to go through this. Your rationale is basically the reason why you picked this particular topic or subject. And again, we mentioned that our trigger questions, and I'll send you a handout this Monday. I will continue a section which are called trigger questions. The SWOT analysis will give you, you know, trigger questions there as well, if you look at the handout under the SWOT analysis. So it's the reason why you take this particular subject, what you hope to achieve. And that will become evident when you fill out that particular form that I told you that I want you to complete for next week. This is all included in it. Outline the problems, a proposal on how you might solve the problem. So it's all included there in that handout, the 2-page handout that you need to complete and send back to me. That will focus your mind on exactly what you want to do. The investigation, then, the rationale will probably take about a page and a half normally, or 2 pages of your project, okay? The next section then is investigation stage 1. So the investigation stage 1 covers strategy. So the strategy is there are 2 sources of information. As I mentioned previously, the reason for doing this particular project, this module, is we want to concentrate on how to do proper research and reach independent conclusions. So we're looking at here investigation stage 1. We've got 2 sources of investigation. They're called primary and secondary. So your primary sources of investigation could be a survey, a questionnaire, an interview. So it's something that you yourself have undertaken. That's primary research. And the one thing about your primary research, and again, I've given notes on how to conduct a proper questionnaire. Everything has to be unbiased. If you're interviewing someone, everything, you can write down the number of questions you want to ask them, but you can't have any leading questions. So in other words, you can't be cutting words into their mouth. Okay, or it might be an unstructured interview. You might just ask them to talk about the business, talk about what issues that are, that we're encountering at the moment. You cannot. There are 3 golden rules, and one of the golden rules in doing a project has to be unbiased. Even the way you structure your questions, if you're sending out a questionnaire or a survey, and again, I've covered that in the notes that I'm going to send you on each section, okay? But bear it in mind as you go through it, everything has to be unbiased. You might turn around and say, okay, I'm convinced that we have this issue in the department, and I'm convinced that I know the answer. And you do your research, you do your investigation, and you might find when you come to the end of it, your part where you do your conclusions, you might find that, well, actually, no, I wasn't correct myself in terms of a solution. There was another solution there all the time, which was staring me in the face, which I didn't really see. So you've got to have an open mind when you're doing this, and there's no right or wrong answer at the end of the day. The marks will be awarded for the work that you've done, and including your research and that. There's no right or wrong answer at the end of the day. So don't be concerned if you find that, yeah, I thought that was the solution, but it turns out that it's not. So that's it. So you have your primary research, which I mentioned, survey, questionnaire, interviews, and you have your secondary sources of investigation, and they're called, you look at the internet, books, journals, stuff like that. It's stuff that other people have written previously that you might be able to source some information on, some quotes on. And again, there's a strict rule regarding quoting somebody. There's a way to do it. It'll be included in your bibliography. There's notes to you on that. And there's a very important thing here called plagiarism. And again, I've given you a full handout on that. But in a nutshell, what plagiarism is presenting someone else's work as your own. So by all means, you can quote other people, you can present their findings, you can present whatever else, as long as you give them credit for it. That's terribly important. And there's a lot at the moment with AI and all that sort of stuff kind of going on. There's a lot of plagiarism going on in projects and exams and all that kind of stuff. So it's important that you know what the consequences of that are, which obviously are quite strict. So by all means, quote someone, but give them credit for it. That's the main issue there. And if you're quoting somebody, you have to all the time as well, when you're doing your project, keep an open mind on it. So if you're looking at some research that's already been done, you have to ask yourself, what was the purpose of that research? Some research is very good. It's unbiased, and some is biased. So when you're looking at research, or you're looking at quotes, or you're looking at anything like that, always question who commissioned this research, why was it commissioned? Because it sometimes becomes very clear that someone else is paying for this research. It's like, I don't know, you see ads on TV, 9 out of 10 cats prefer Whiskas or something like that. So you say, that obviously the manufacturers of Whiskas are commissioning that research for a particular reason, and it's obviously it's biased, if you like. So you have your secondary. What I'd like to see in terms of, and I'll give you notes on how to conduct an interview. What I'd like to see is sources of information, primary and secondary. I like to see a mixture of both, actually, in your project. So you might have an interview, you might have a survey. There's ways of doing a survey. There's a website, I think it's called surveymonkey.com. You might look at that as well. It's very, very easy notes on how to conduct a proper survey. So you can have a look at that. And again, I have some notes to go to on that. Investigation stage 3. We're on the third part anyway of the body of the project. data handling and results. So your data handling and results, you have written and graphic display. I like to see there's two types of data that are we call quantitative data and qualitative data. What the purpose of this particular project, we want to see quantitative data, so it's all figures, if you like. We're obviously dealing with a branch of accountancy, if you like, credit management. So we're dealing with figures. We're dealing with DSO. We're dealing with day sales outstanding. We're dealing with balances. We're dealing with overdue balances, stuff like that. So we're dealing with quantitative data. So you would either in your survey or maybe in your interview, but you will come across obviously information that you've gathered. So the way you present that information, then you will have your script on what the information is, how you've conducted your survey, how you've collated that information, and then presented as some sort of a graphic display. There are three types of graphic display really that I'm more concerned with, and there are kind of dozens of different graphic displays that you could use, but some of them are quite complicated. So we'll stick with the kind of easy ones. So we've got bar chart, a linear chart, or pie charts. They're really the three ones mainly that I like to see. And I do like to see in every project some kind of graphic display. It's a nice illustration in color, and I think it kind of adds to the body of the thing when you're looking at it, of the project, particularly when you're looking at something and you have then the text beside it. It gives you a lot of information, both visually and, as I say, if you have the text covered with it. Always make sure as well that any charts that you have, that they're numbered. So if you have 4 or 5 different charts throughout your project, number each one of them. Make sure that each one of them has a heading. And it's important to make sure as well that that your text or script in relation to that particular chart is beside it, underneath it, or just before it. So don't have your graph on one page and 3 pages later then you have an explanation as to what the actual graph means. Did that make sense? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. One thing to remember again, if you're doing a chart, whatever chart you're doing, time is always on the x-axis. So if you're doing kind of something in months, January, February, March, it's all on the x-axis. Time is always on the x-axis. Conclusion and analysis. So this is part 4 of your project. Conclusion and analysis. And if you look at the marking allocation, this is the highest marks, because this is kind of what your survey, what your project is telling you at this stage. So again, you can list the unbiased outcomes. So what is all the body of work that you've done up to now? What is it telling you? It might be telling you several different things. But again, I use that word unbiased, and again, it's important that it's telling you unbiased outcomes. What will again be evident here is independent and well-supported conclusions. So your conclusions have to be supported by your survey or by the investigation that you've done through the internet or interviews or something like that, anything like that. Again, as I mentioned, your original beliefs may be totally wrong. You won't lose marks for that. The marks are all for the body of work that's gone prior to this and how you've interpreted that body of work yourself. Okay, marks are awarded for interpretation of your investigation. That's what it says there. And the 5th part there of evaluation. Evaluation is really a personal assessment of how the project has gone for you. So you can comment on the risk factors that you've encountered maybe along the way, in terms of maybe resources. Maybe you haven't got enough resources maybe hadn't got proper access to information, maybe hadn't got enough time. So that kind of stuff. Also include any feedback that you might have got from your colleagues, from your line manager, from your boss. So stuff like that. From a personal point of view, is there anything? Would you have done it differently in hindsight? That's also important. So maybe you've got to this stage and you say, well, maybe I should have conducted a different type of interview. There are two types of interview. You've got an open interview, which where you just sit down, you have a chat general about things, or if you have a structured interview where you have a list of questions that you want to ask this particular person. And that's always a good idea to give it to that person, whoever the interviewee is. Send them the questions, give them time to have prepared. And if you say you're going to have an interview with them, it could be by Zoom, it could be in person. Make sure you're there on time, and make sure you leave. You say it's going to take 20 minutes, it's going to take 15 minutes, whatever. You stick to that. Okay, that's very important. Would you have done things differently? Again, maybe you would have concentrated on maybe your survey more, or you might have worded it differently. Maybe your questions might have been worded differently. Again, it's a personal assessment, really, in hindsight, of how it's gone. And another important thing is, have you identified? Sometimes you'll find when you do a project like this, you identify that there's another area of investigation that requires someone's attention. It might become apparent that, oh my God, I've sorted this, but it's now, leading me to another situation that needs to be looked at as well. It's not for me to do that, but someone in the future is going to have to look at something else. And this is something that popped up during the course of your project. You sometimes find that happens. So they're the 5 sections that you have to have. And again, I'll change your notes on these just to fill in what we have there. I've just gone through them myself, but there will be information on that. Then we move on to the stuff. The marking allocation. Okay, so you have there the marking allocation, the rationale, investigation. So we have down there all those written parts of the project as far as evaluation. Then underneath that, we have effort in achieving deadlines, 10 marks for that. And that's a very easy 10 marks to get. All that means is that if I ask you for an update within, well, say 48 hours, you send me back some sort of feedback. If I'm asking you for any particular, whatever, question in relation to your project, that you come back to me on time. That your project is submitted on time. And there shouldn't be any reason why people don't get 10 marks. Remember, you've got to get 50 marks, 50% for this. So you need 50 marks. That's an easy 10 marks to get. An initiative is another kind of an easy way to go. Initiative is really about looking at things differently, with fresh eyes, maybe at a problem, a fresh approach, going the extra mile, some sort of inventiveness. It becomes apparent. It's very hard for me to tell you what examples of it are, but it becomes apparent to me when I'm reading a project. I can see what effort has gone into this. I can see what initiative has gone into this. Yeah, and if you get an interview with the Minister of Finance or something like that, maybe something like that, would be inventive. So again, another easy 10 marks, and there's 10 easy marks for presentation. And again, it's the last set of notes I'll send you out will be on presentation. It is a professional piece of work, and it should be treated accordingly. You should be very proud of this project when you submit it. So, it's going to say an awful lot about you. Your presentation has to be up to scratch. Your diagrams have to be numbered, tables, if you have any tables, numbered. It has to be well organized. And there's a little section in there about project writing. Like, it has to flow. If you're talking about a particular subject, and you want to make a point in each paragraph, if you like, so a separate paragraph for each point you want to make, the thing has to flow. So you flow from your survey, what your survey is telling you, how you interpret your survey, Again, as I had mentioned before, if you have a graph or something like that, that the text is underneath that particular graph, that it's all kind of flown, that there's a natural structure to it. And I something I want to come back to just in the next 5 or 10 minutes. So, and then you'll have what we call the bibliography. That's at the end, and that's it's a list. I'll show you. It's a list of quotes that you might have had, references, books that you might have looked at, journals, something like that. So if you pick up an article that you're going to use in your project, it's important to take down somewhere, record what that article is, or take a copy of it or something like that, so you can reference it in your bibliography at the end of your, and you'll do actually in the course of the thing itself. So if you do quote someone on it, you'll have the quote, where you got the quote from, and that'll also be contained in your bibliography at the back. Your pass mark is 50%. Your words, you have 6,000 words. So if you could please, on the front of your project, if you could have a word count on it, I'd appreciate it. Deadline is the 21st of December. You don't need this thing hanging over you over Christmas. So, and you do find when you get into this, if you just put a couple of hours a week by, 3 hours a week, whatever, 4 hours a week to get this done, it will flow. You'll get it done. You get momentum going. You get things done on time. You'll get it submitted, and you'll have hassle-free Christmas in terms of project. You don't need it hanging over you over Christmas. Support. So I'll support you guys. Being there, done all that, and I'm available to talk either on phone or certainly emails. If you want to talk to me in person, we can set up a particular time and date. That's no problem. I will send you notes, regular notes, and each probably fortnight I'll be checking in and see how things are with you. If you've any issues in the meantime, don't have to wait 2 weeks or a week. Anytime you come across an issue or a problem, or you want some guidance on it, come back to me at any time. I'll come back to you within 48 hours. I might, if I can come back to you, I'll come back to you straight away, but I give you a guarantee within 48 hours I'll come back to you. So you can rest assured you have my support all the way through, and Declan, of course. Declan is there. What else have we got? I've mentioned plagiarism. You handed on that. Project writing, I mentioned that as well. It's a professional piece of work. This is something you want to be proud of. And I guarantee you, at the end of the day, it's something you will get a lot of pride from and a lot of self-confidence from when you have this done. To see something with your name on it and it's done on a professional base, it's bound, and it really is. It's a great confidence filler. Keep to the deadlines. Avoid any kind of panic. Keep momentum. I have a sample project which I'll send you out. I'll send you out with the first lot of notes on Monday. Is that okay? So to give you an idea of the structure of it, and this particular project was it scored quite high, so we'll give you an idea of the standard involved. Any issues or any problems or any queries on it, come back to me on it. But it's handy to have, it's a handy reference point. Enjoy the experience. It's going to take you 2.5 months now out of your life to get this thing done. So you got to enjoy it. 3 golden rules. I mentioned one of them already. One, again, coming back, it has to be an unbiased body of work. So there's no leading questions in your survey or no leading questions in your interview or anything like that. You know, do you agree? Forget all that stuff. You ask. It's totally unbiased. And even how you structure, if you're doing a survey, you have kind of on the scale of 1 to 10, you have to balance that out as well. So, you know, there's ways. I'll send you notes on that as well.
Sorry, Paul.
It's not unbiased. Yeah.
Sorry, I just want to ask you a question. Now, is it better off to try and concentrate on either an interview or a survey, or to try to amalgamate two into, or sorry, do both and kind of take the findings from both, or better off concentrating on just one form?
I would incorporate as many as I could. Okay. But again, it will depend on your particular. Everyone has a different personal topic. Some might have the resources to do a survey, but I think it adds to the project if you have both.
Okay.
And also if you have your secondary sources of information, which is your internet. I like to see a mixture because
Okay.
it shows me the effort that's gone into it. Okay. So yeah, include both.
Okay.
Okay. And your boss, I'm sure, or someone, colleagues will all be delighted to be asked to be interviewed. Just
Yeah,
don't-
I'm sure she's going to be delighted to get up at 2 a.m. in the morning to listen to me talk to her.
Don't make the questions too hard. And
Right,
again,
so
as I said, there's two ways. There's a structured interview, or there's a kind of open interview, which is just let them talk or whatever else there. But don't let them talk too much about kind of where they were at the weekend or something like that. It's work related. It all has to be focused and relevant. 3 golden rules: unbiased body of work. Pick something that interests you. It's got to sustain you over the next 2.5 months. And I gave you reasons why a work-related topic can have advantages. And the third thing is, don't make it too broad. I mentioned this before. You might think, let's investigate an issue in the department at the moment, and you might look and say, well, actually, there's so many different things that need to be resolved here. Pick one. Don't try and, resolve or look for solutions to 10 different problems, because that will it'll become too broad and your project will become unmanageable. So just pick one. And, as I said, there's a drill down method, or there's a SWOT analysis, or the one might be quite obvious to you. There's one issue there, it's sticking out like a sore thumb. It's the elephant in the room. It's kind of, that might be the one to pick. As I mentioned before, this is kind of, I don't know how many of you have done a project or done, it is actually, it's a mini thesis, it's a mini dissertation, and the standards are quite good. And it's something, sometimes you find it's hard to get started. I remember when I was doing my thesis, I think that was 20,000 words or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but like that, I sat there for about an hour trying to think the first sentence, the first paragraph, how was I going to start this thing? And I couldn't get the words out, mine wouldn't, whatever, there's so much going on. It came, and when it eventually got going, the problem was then trying to stop the thing, finish it somewhere, So you'll probably find the same yourself. Hopefully you will anyway, That's a different problem anyway, different sort. As I mentioned, it's a different way of learning. A lot of people who do the project wouldn't have done something like this previously. You might have done an assignment, yeah, but you might have done something like this. The whole thing about this is research. It's, it's third level stuff, this is. So you're moving on from, one level to a higher level of stuff. So it's how you do your research. What strategy you use for your research. As Aidan was saying there, do we do an interview? Do we do a survey? Do both, as far as I'm concerned, but also have that other body of research, which is the secondary research, which is looking at articles that relate to the topic that you're trying to discuss or that you're writing about. So yeah, it's just a different way of learning, and you'll all get something out of it at the end of the day. I guarantee you'll get something new that you haven't come across before.
Sorry, Paul.
Yes.
I'm only after joining. I'd often problems there, but to me it actually seems quite daunting now. I mean, I wouldn't have done assignments. I wouldn't have done an essay since school.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm hoping, but I actually find it daunting now. But I'm hoping I'd be okay. Like, I wouldn't have a clue what to do this survey on. Not a clue. I missed all of it, but I'll catch up on it later, hopefully.
Yeah, look, it can seem daunting, but you'll pick something maybe that's work related, and we all have issues in our job that need looking at, that we're not happy about, or there might be something that we're not doing that we should be doing. Maybe our competitors are doing, that we could be doing, which would make our jobs a lot easier, our lives a lot easier, which would improve the finances of the company. But usually it's something that's there that we're not happy with, that, you know, we're too busy every day of the week in our day-to-day stuff, that we can't sit down and think through how we might resolve this particular thing. And that's usually where it comes. And when you start thinking about that, and all you're doing then is your research. You could research people maybe in other companies. You could research your own colleagues.
Yeah, well, I know in our place now, definitely I think to do things right first time, like this thing of charging to wrong accounts. And it's such a slow down in there's problems in getting payments because they have to be recharged to the right account. There's a lot of that, you know, they charge the guys on the counter would charge you to the wrong account. Do you know what I'm saying? And then
Yeah,
by the time they get that done, but to be able to put 6,000 words into into a topic.
You'd be surprised. I mean, I'm not going to stick 6,000 words originally, but I mean, it has to be over 5,000 words. It has to be proper kind of, you know. But, you know, talk to someone in your job, talk to your boss, talk to a colleague. You know, they might have it. Brainstorm the thing. This is usually where, you know, you get started. You might feel overwhelmed by it, but if you talk to someone else about it, they might have ideas that you might not. They might be able to tell you, oh, this might be a good starting point. So by all means, involve your boss. Talk to your boss, colleagues, friends, family. Talk to anyone.
Yeah, I've spoken to already now. Yeah, and he's so busy, but he's young and he has been a help so far with the SWAT.
Yeah,
you know,
you don't. You don't have to do a survey. If a survey doesn't suit, or a survey, you know, you think it mightn't suit a particular thing because you mightn't have a proper body of people to survey from, or a proper audience. Well, so, you know, think of an interview. Do something else, like, you know. I'm saying I like to see as much investigation, as much primary, as much secondary sources, but it doesn't have to be. It's all about quality here as well. It's not about the many words you put down. It's about quality. I mean, you could do a survey, it could be bad survey, you know, questions could be wrong, might be a big audience to really have, you know, any influence. So you might do an interview. An interview could be very revealing, could be very, you know, could be very good. So don't get hung up on it. But I'm here. If you get stuck,
you have me on to you. I'll be on to you. I'd say.
That's fine. I look forward to it. As Declan said, I've been doing this for 20 odd years. Well, 20 years. So I mean,
where do you live? Can park outside your house.
Yeah.
I put it this way: no one's ever failed through effort.
Right.
No one's ever failed through effort. Okay.
Figures is my thing, you see. Figures is for me.
You put in the effort, and if you encounter any problems, you talk to me. Talk to whoever your boss is, wherever else. Don't leave it lying. That's the one piece of advice I give you. I've had one, I remember a few, but one particular student a couple of years back, and just left it all to the last, and rang me. I think it was, I don't know, it was near Christmas time, in blind panic. And, you know, and that's not a good place to be. You don't need to be there anyway, you know. And she got through it, got it done, and passed. I'm happy to say, you know, and we gave her a little bit of extra time, you know, but you don't need that. You don't need it. So,
yeah. Paul, could I just ask you one question?
Sure.
I have a gist of what I think I'm going to write it on, but is it possible to interview two people with the same questions and just amalgamate both answers?
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can have, again, as I mentioned, two types of interview. An open interview, you can sit down, have the two people there separately and interview them on a particular topic. You know, you'd have the small talk first, obviously, on a particular topic, or you might have structured questions. You might have 5, 6 questions, whatever. You can have the same questions for both. Yes, that's no problem.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Anyone else?
Have you a list of the topics, Paul? The different topics, because I missed half of this meeting.
I've sent them out. They should be with that handout.
Okay, sorry, I didn't even look at the handout.
Ah, there you go. It's as easy as pie if you just read the stuff that's there.
Okay.
There is a list there. I've sent out a list. Doesn't have to be on that list. It could be something unique to your job. Okay. It might not be job related, by the way. It doesn't have to be, but 99.9% of the time it is job related. Okay, and it's easier to work on something that's job related because you have first-hand experience of what's going on, and you have other sources that you can tap into there if you need them. You know, so there is, practical project management project area. So there's a page and a half, I think, listed there. I say it doesn't have to be one of those. It can be any. So, anyone else? Any questions? No. Okay. So, you know, rather than drag this thing out, I'd like us to get started as soon as possible. So, for next Friday, if you could have your proposed topic, it has to be approved. Okay. I don't want someone going off on a tangent doing something that they run into a cul-de-sac after a couple of pages. You know, this has to be something that will sustain you for 5,000-6,000 words, and for 2.5 months of your life. I'm saying that I'm kind of on it's a couple of hours a week.
Yeah.
Will keep you on top of this. That's all you need. Look at the notes. Keep your own side going. If you have to get questions done, whatever else, keep your own side. And if you need to consult with me or talk to me, that's fine. I'm available anytime.
And that's Grandpa. And just on that as well, in terms of interviews, you know, I have access to a whole network. So if you want to do a project on software solutions for the collections industry or something, like I know half a dozen software suppliers who I can put you in touch with or whatever, you know. So just in terms of thinking outside the box, even if you think I'd love to, I remember one lady in particular wanted a contact from one very senior UK person, and that was about 10 years ago, Paul, and they're still talking to each other, which went out on Friday, which was fantastic, you know. So look, it's there, and reach out. That's
and some people start at, you know, at the very kind of start of the credit management process, which is the credit application form.
Yeah.
You know, and some people say, well, how come we're getting so many bad debts? Well, you know, something is wrong with the credit application form. We got to look at that. And there've been projects done on that. And you might think you get 5,000 words out of that, but it's been done, you know. So have a think about it and send it to me next Friday, and I'll give me to the middle of the following week, around about the 24th, and I'll come back to you and let you know how I feel or what I think. And, you know, I might be able to give you a couple of ideas as well in your own project. But I'm here to support you guys. I'm here to pass everyone that's on this course. Okay, so I'm the tutor.
Provided they put the work in.
I said, Declan, you know,
I heard you. I was here loud and clear. No,
very evident to me when I read a project.
Think now they just have to turn up, you know. Otherwise, there'll be no value to having an advance.
No. You know, so. And the standard is quite high, you know, and it's great to see that as well, you know, because it's a reflection on what's gone on before.
Yeah.
And
we have a great group here.
Yeah.
Okay, folks. Well, look, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I hope you enjoyed the rugby more than the soccer last night. And sure we'll talk, and I'll have the fourth thrilling installment out to you on Monday. So take care, folks.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Okay. Look forward to you. Thank you.
See you.
Bye.
See you, Declan.
See you, Paul. Have a
Bye.
great one. Take care. Bye.